So you want to be a truck driver, huh? What the hell's wrong with you? Well, I'm out in nature again. It's 77 degrees out. So I figured I'd come to the swamp. It's alright. They're draining the swamp from what I hear. So every once in a while in my comments, I get the question. I want to be a truck driver. Do you have any tips? Do you have any advice? Yeah, don't do it. That's hyperbolic. Sorry if I'm breathing heavy, but I'm still out of shape from the winter. Hoping to change that by doing more of this. Yeah, that's one of them things about trucking, huh? Keeping in shape out there ain't the easiest. So, if someone were to ask me that today, and I'm gonna back this up with some statistics along with my own personal experience. If someone were to ask me today, should I be a truck driver? You know, should I get out there? And it's something I ask myself regularly as well when compared to the struggles that I've had as of late financially. You know, and I have to ask myself, is this worse than that on a regular basis? And so far, I still don't want to go back despite some pain and suffering. For example, if I were trucking right now, I wouldn't be out here in nature on a 77 degree day. I'd be inside the cab of the truck. I'd be in the box, in traffic, trying not to die. Is that how you want to spend your day? Or would you rather be, you know, doing this? It's a no-brainer for me. But that being said, I'd be remiss if I said a blanket statement like everyone should never drive a truck. If I did that, and if the world listened, our entire way of life would crumble and our economy would disappear. If every truck driver just suddenly decided to say, you know what? Fuck this shit. Pay'd probably go up if they did that. Just saying. We're gonna walk through the swamp today. I mean, I'm just feeling swampy. But that being said, it's pretty clear to me that trucking is not what it used to be. You don't get what they're advertising. What the recruiters are telling you is 90% bullshit. There's very rare that you find an excellent trucking job to where they're not fucking you over for your time and your money. But that being said, there is somebody, if they were to ask me, should I get in a truck? Should I be a truck driver? There is somebody whom I would say yes to. I'm going to sit down so I'm not like breathing heavy the whole video. So the question is, who would I say yes to in the case of should you be a truck driver? If you're single, if you're in debt, if you are fairly minimalist, you're not supporting a household, you're not paying rent, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have that kind of thing to worry about, you don't own a home already. Basically, you're young, you're single, you maybe have some debt to pay off, or even if you don't have a lot of friends, you don't have a social life, you don't care about your time, you're happy to be driving all the time. If you answered yes to all of those, then yeah, trucking's for you. You can definitely get a head start on life amongst your peers, especially I'm talking to the young folk right now. That time has passed for me as I'm down to my last 12 years of life, according to statistics. We'll get to that in a minute. Like, say you just turned 21 and you're a decent driver. Like, if you're a shit driver and you get tickets all the time, you don't obey the rules a lot, you're just going to come out here and get in an accident nowadays. I've seen it a ton of times as a trainer. For those of you new to the channel and want to know my qualifications, I've been driving for 21 years, give or take a year off here and there. I'm currently in a time off period in my life, hoping to fully retire. But I didn't do a lot of the things I'm going to suggest to the young folks that I would say yes to right now. If you wanted to come out here for 3 or 4 years and you don't have a home, you have a storage unit at best, you don't have a car or a car payment, or if you do have a car, it's a $2,000 beater that's going to sit in a parking lot most of its life. Yes, absolutely be a trucker, but do it wisely. Invest. I don't care if the market's up, down. You should be dollar cost averaging every fucking day you're out there for the 3 years that you're out there. And then you'll be able to quit after 3 or 4 years and be comfortable, go find a place to live, whether it's a mortgage or rent. If you want to buy a home, if that's your goal, I hate to tell you, the market is shit. And you'll have to probably do 10 to 15 years of trucking to be able to afford that. Unless you're lucky and you inherit a house, which is always a possibility. But that being said, it is a great position. If you're in debt up to your eyeballs, go out there and clean it up, get rid of it. If you're not in debt, then you need to go out and basically invest and set yourself up for early retirement. So yes, you could use trucking as a way to straighten yourself out and get successful. And if you do that from age whatever that you get out of high school, instead of going to college and racking up a huge debt and then making probably roughly, if you're lucky, making the same amount when you graduate college, then you got to invest 4 or 5 years. Also, this doesn't apply to owner-operators. Owner-operators, all of the other stuff applies as far as your life, because you're still got to put in all that time. All that time goes away. The difference is you might make a little bit more if you don't finance. Well, you'll only make a little bit more if you finance your truck. If you buy your truck with cash, even then you're still having to work a number of years to save up to buy a truck outright. And you got to ask yourself, is that worth the investment? And then you're married to the industry. You just walked down the aisle and said, I do, with no fucking honeymoon whatsoever. And there's a 70 to 80% chance you're going to fail as an owner-operator, because you have to learn to manage it as a business. It's not just driving. There's a lot more to being an owner-operator. But if you do that right, and it's rare, but if you do that right, yeah, you can have a 6-figure income, be your own boss, so on and so forth. But the amount of time you have to invest to make that happen would be the same as going to college for 10 years and then paying off your loan for another 10 years. You could probably, if you were smart and you bought a used truck, you could probably save up enough within that 4 years, especially if you're doing investing and all of that, and have a truck outright. And then if you want to go the route of having your own authority and being your own company, then there's more expense involved in that. And you're at the mercy of freight rates at that point. and you're competing with companies that drive the price of freight down and can put you out of business quite easily. In fact, if you look at the number of trucking companies that have gone out of business in the last 5 years, it's pretty insane. And those are the little guys that tried to make a go at it and didn't make it. So it can bring you to financial ruin if you go down that owner-operator. But that's on the con side of things. You know, if you are good with business, you're good with numbers, and you're smart, you can absolutely make six figures doing this. And some argue that you could do it as a company driver. We'll get to that too. But there's very few opportunities for that. But that's it. Everyone else, the answer is no. And for me currently, as a 21-year trucker, the answer is no. In the past, I've made videos talking about how you can do all of these things. And if you go back, some of it still applies. But the things that have changed is inflation has gone through the roof in the past 3 years. And 4 years, arguably, inflation's gone through since 2020. You know, it's gone up exponentially almost. And when you're an over-the-road truck driver, that really hurts you because you don't get to cook a lot. Or if you can cook in the truck. I've done it, and I can tell you after a 14-hour day, you're not doing that. You're going into the Loves and getting you some Chester chicken and a coffee or a drink or something sweet, and then you're going to go to bed. You know, or you're going to go to McDonald's or Subway. Fucking Subway everywhere out there. I hope you like Subway if you're going to be a trucker. And you're going to pay an exorbitant amount of money for that. Way more than what it's worth. Because your wages didn't go up quick enough to match that. So for the rest of you might be wondering, well, why shouldn't I? Why no? Why don't you? I get why don't you quite a bit, especially when I'm really struggling. Now, I've gone over this a lot, but I want to kind of summarize it here. So, I'm not going to talk about just my situation here. I'm going to go off of the statistics. Turns out I took some screenshots before I came out here in nature of some stats I wanted to lay on you. From my own perspective, I worked 50 to 60 hours a week, and that's on a 4-day work week that I did that a lot of the time because I had a dedicated home every night route for 2 or 3 months of my time as a trucker last year. I grossed $55,000 last year in trucking. Working 50 to 60 hours a week at that, and then that's not anywhere near what you would take home. As you know, there was weeks where I took home less than $1,000, even though I put that amount of time in. And we're going to go into all the reasons for that in this video, so stay tuned. Like and subscribe to my channel, because I talk about all kinds of shit, not just this. You know, there's more to life than being a fucking truck driver, contrary to what the recruiters may tell you. So, the average, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, was $54,320. A lot of people would argue that it's closer to $57,000 to $60,000. I agree with the $54,000 because clearly I made $55,000. Now I know if I put in the 70-hour work weeks, I could have probably bumped myself up to that $57,000 to $60,000. And there are some trucking jobs that do pay well enough to where you can get to that $70,000, but you are definitely busting your ass there. It's all work, no sleep, no home time. You're working 300 days out of the year, 350 days out of the year, somewhere in there, you know, depending on how hard you are, and then you can hit those numbers. If you're looking to do a 40-hour work week, you're not even dreaming of touching those numbers. Period. And 40-hour work weeks, unless you're a part-time trucker, do not exist. Even as a part-time trucker, I still worked 50 hours, and that's having 3-day weekends every week. So the only way to balance that out is to take time off, be a casual truck driver, or straight up just quit for every once in a while, take a year off, and then go back. I advise that, by the way. I've done the casual driver thing where you work 1 week out of the month. I've done it 2 weeks out of the month, 3 weeks, 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. I've done every form of trucking you can think of to try and get work-life balance. And I can tell you, just take the year off. So I can tell you, on average, I made, for the company I worked for, anywhere from $1,100 to $1,300 a week, regardless of how long I worked, generally. Because the other thing they don't tell you is if you go over a certain threshold, they withhold more money out of your check. So your take home, you can generally bet about $1,100 a week. And this is after 21 years of trucking. Okay? You would think when you've been in a career that long, you should be max pay all the way. No, they don't give a shit whatsoever. They'll pay the new guy what, it took you years to get to. They don't care about your experience. They don't. In fact, they're putting as many inexperienced people on the road as possible right now because they don't have to pay them as much. And that's it. That's the bottom line there. So, doing some math, I could make, if I did the full 70 hours a week, which works out to about 3,000 hours a year on average, and I made $65,000 gross. Keep in mind that's gross. Uncle Sam's going to take his 25 to 40%, or depending on what state you live in. But $65,000 divided by 3,000 is $21.66 an hour. And that's accounting for the full 70-hour work week, whether it's you were on duty or driving or what have you. And that's on average what you can expect. I can tell you locally, if you do a local job, around here they're paying anywhere from 21 to 24 an hour with overtime over 40. So yes, you can probably come out a bit ahead on that. Probably get closer to a $28 or $29 per hour average if you do it local. You're busting your ass just as hard there. The only difference is you don't have a sleeper. You go home at the end of the day exhausted. You go to sleep. You get up at 4 a.m. and do it all over again. You get home. You go to work before the sun comes up, and you get home after the sun goes down on most of those types of jobs. If you go by the average, now that's me as a 21-year truck driver. I made $55,000. So if I look at my average, because I actually made $55,000 last year, I maybe worked 2,800, so it works out here. But if you go by the average, and you do your 70-hour work weeks, you put in your 3,000 hours per year, you're going to average $18.33 an hour. There are local shit jobs that do that. Gig economy pays that easily. Not always. Sometimes it's $15 an hour in the gig economy, but that's a whole other video. But yeah, and you're giving up all your time. You're not with your family. You're not with your friends. You're isolated. You're in the box. You get to see the country, but you don't. You're seeing the highways and truck stops and Walmarts of the country, and every once in a while you see some pretty mountains if you go out west. But if you're on the East Coast, all you see is urban sprawl, bullshit, and traffic jams. That's mostly what you're going to see on the East Coast. So if you like to see the country, go west. But not all the way west, because LA is even worse. You're going to average $4 an hour there. And that's the other thing. If you're paid by the mile, a lot of companies have zip code to zip code. It's a way of ripping you off. So you see, say you have a 500-mile run. The way the zip code to zip code thing, it works, and this was a big gripe of mine. It's one of the reasons I quit the good account, because it paid 85 cents a mile on the dedicated account, but it paid zip code to zip code. So I would lose anywhere from 20 to 30 bucks a day on my pay, just because they didn't pay me the actual miles. Actual miles. We live in an age of GPS and computers and almost halfway self-driving trucks, and you mean to tell me you're still going to pay us zip code to zip code? How are you getting away with that? It's unpaid labor, okay? If you tell me you're paying me 65 cents a mile, which is what the max where I was at was, and it's a lot of companies offering less than that right now, or they're offering that and saying you make $75,000 a year, which is not true. Do the math. Do the math on those stupid ads, because they always tell you the annual gross income because it looks so pretty. till you start figuring out what that really means. And let's face it, $55,000 is the same spending power that $30,000 was 10 years ago. And that's what I made 10 years ago. So I'm doing the same labor, but I got this, I've put in 21 years and I have the same spending power that I did 10 years ago. How's that cool? You still want to drive a fucking truck right now? So yeah, they're not paying us what we're worth. The economy is it's an essential job. Our economy doesn't function without it, and they still are greedy. They still don't want us to do this job. They don't want to pay us to do this job. They want us to do the job. They don't want to pay us. And their solution, I hate to say it and be a little political here, was immigration. Have illegal immigrants or immigrants come in that are willing to work for less and be happy about it. And that has driven down the wage. That has driven down the rates. And they don't care. They don't care how many accidents they are. They don't care how bad the drivers are that they're hiring. Once they pass their CDL test, and that's the goal of most schools, they don't teach you how to be a truck driver at all. They come to companies like where I worked to try and learn that, and it usually ends in an accident or a disaster, or they kill somebody or they kill themselves, and it's horrible. And they pay them a lot less, to start, to do the same work that I'm doing now 21 years later. And I only make a little bit more than they did. And if I look at what I made then versus what I made now, my spending power, the things lifestyle-wise I was able to do, remained unchanged. So, yeah. Are there worse jobs? Sure. There's definitely worse jobs, and if that's your situation and you got no choice, then get in a truck. But you're going to give up your life. The average age of a truck driver, there's another statistic that they don't tell you, is 62 years old. So while you're out there building that 401k, putting even more money into the 401k, thinking that you'll retire someday and you can live a nice middle-class life, that ain't happening. It's not. Unless you did it on your own and were smart about it, those days aren't happening. Something needs to change with it. My solution, if I were in charge of fixing trucking, would be either you pay hourly, at least $30 an hour, and that's like to start, with options to grow from there. At least $30 an hour. I would say for a company driver, you should be paid $1 per mile. All miles. Actual miles. And you'd never have a truck driver shortage if you did that. And people would gladly work 70 hours a week. But they don't want to do that. I've tried negotiating different things. I've done every account you can think of. I've taken students to try and boost my income, and that $55,000 was having taken students multiple times, because I always took a loss on students because they'd eat up my time because they're slow at everything. They don't know how to back yet. They don't know how to do shit. So they're slow. They go 55 in the 65. They do things like that. And they're backing. It takes 45 minutes to an hour to get into a hole. 2 stops and you're taking a big loss on what they pay you to take the student to begin with. So if you're taking students, it's out of the goodness of your heart. You're not really going to make better money doing it. And I'm 100% certain of that. Not worth it either, because there was a lot of times it felt like my life was on the line. And I'd rather it be in my own hands than have someone else do it. So that, it's not for me. And they don't care. That's the thing. I tried to bring these solid points up. The not paying me the actual miles was a big thing. I'm like, yes, you're telling me you're paying me 85 cents a mile on this account, averaging probably 6 to 7 hours of drive time per day on that. Yet for some reason, I would work 14 hours because there'd be 3 stops on it. You know, sometimes with a student, sometimes on my own. And that scenario I talked about where you go to work at 4 in the morning or whatever and you don't get home till late at night, straight up, every time. There were times I had to do some splits to try and get home because it took me 16 hours to get home. And at the end of the day, I'd have $200 for that with the way they paid me. But yeah, it was 85 cents a mile. Yeah, you can make $110,000 a year. That's not how it worked. Hello. Lifestyle-wise, it's also not all it's cracked up to be. Now, I'm a minimalist. I like traveling in vehicles, and I like van life and stuff like that. That's not what this is. It's not what it feels like, because you don't have the freedom. You know, yeah, you kind of can set your schedule to a degree, but at the end of the day, the freight needs to be there by the time they tell you. And if they tell you to be there at 7 in the morning, guess what? You're getting up at 4 in the morning to an alarm. You know, it's not work when you want. And that's, you know, so that makes it not like being a nomad in van life. That makes it like being a prisoner. Every night you're going to struggle to find a place to park and go to sleep, and you're usually dog tired by then. And there's no parking spots left because everyone pulled over at like 8 o'clock. You're going to be tired a lot. It's going to feel like all you do is work and sleep, drive and sleep. And then if you do get some time, you're just exhausted. Like you just lay in bed and watch things on your tablet or whatever, or your phone, and probably fall asleep again. You know, you can't structure it in a way where you can pull over in the middle of the day, take a 2-hour break, but generally you got shit to do. You got to take a shower, you got to do laundry, you got to clean your dish, you know, for me, my coffee cup, stuff like that. So you don't get a lot of time to enjoy the country. You're in the box most of the time. And you couple that with them not paying you well, and there's days out there where you'll average $8 an hour if you're lucky. And a lot of that is a combination of traffic slowing you down. They're running you places where it's ridiculous, and they don't prorate your miles anymore. They used to, if you only had 80 miles on a run, they would pay you appropriately, a higher up amount per mile to compensate you for that. They don't do that anymore for over the road. It's a flat mileage. And I can tell you, 60 cents a mile on I-80 or I-95 or any of those shithole roads, you know, 81 in some cases, where your average speed is 30 to 40 miles an hour if you're lucky. You know, let's not even get into LA and the West Coast. You're working for free, almost, at that point. You know, you're in traffic, you're dealing with all the shit, but the wheels aren't turning fast enough. The only way to up your average hourly is to go 65 miles an hour. And some truck companies don't even let you do that. They don't let you make up for that 30 miles an hour by going 70, where it's allowed. You know. And it is allowed in some places, but they don't want you to do it. You know, it's all of these ways of squeezing more time out of you for less money. And yes, at the end of the year, it looks good that if you made $55,000 to $70,000 a year. But in today's economy, that doesn't cut it anymore. You're not ahead. You are lower middle class at best. And I mean, you're on the edge of poor. And if you're in debt and you're supporting a household, you're not actually going to, because all of the it's more expensive to be in that truck. You're buying all of your food made for you, so you're eating restaurant prices at McDonald's usually, and the food is unhealthy as fuck. You're going to get fat, you're going to get out of shape, you're going to have health problems. half the motherfuckers that come through nowadays to become truck drivers fail for blood pressure or diabetes or sleep apnea or any of these other fucking things that they just disqualify you for nowadays. Yet they don't do anything to help you have time to have that work-life balance, to be healthier, to get out and get exercise, to eat healthy food. They tell you to, but that goes back to that 14-hour day. You're not cooking in a truck. Cooking a meal in a truck takes 2 hours from start to finish. You cook the meal, then you eat the meal, and all of the things are slower because you're doing it in the truck. And then you got to clean up after, because if you don't, guess what? You don't get to eat tomorrow. So you got to do your dishes. You got to do all of that, and that takes up, on average, you have maybe 2 to 3 spare hours a day, where you're not sleeping and you're not driving, or you're not dealing with customers. That's not enough time, because you're not gonna want to eat up your 2 hours to spare doing that. You're just not. And if you're in the situation where I was, where it was 16 hours, then yeah, I was going to fucking Chick-fil-A and paying $14 for a chicken sandwich and fries and a drink. Yet, one of the hours I worked was probably $8 an hour, because they didn't pay me the actual miles. And they don't up the mileage rate based on how short hauls go. And that's another trick to look out for. You'll sign up for OTR, which pays less per mile than Northeast Regional or one of these other accounts. You'll sign up for that, and they'll pay you 65 cents a mile. And then the planner will give you regional runs, which pay 80 cents a mile to, I think, or it's 81. I don't know how they pay the new guys. For me, it was 82 cents, I think, they would pay a mile for regional runs. And those are runs that are under 300 miles, but they're a long, urban, traffic jam-filled New York City, Connecticut, Long Island, those kinds of runs, Jersey, all the time, New England. So instead of paying the people the 80 cents a mile to do those runs, they would give those runs to the over-the-road guys. Whereas over-road, hey, okay, I understand I'm making less per mile, as long as you give me 500 miles per day to do. I go do my 500 miles just driving, and then I go to sleep. And maybe have one stop every other day or once a day at best with a customer. You know, one pickup or one delivery, or sometimes a 1,000-mile run where I don't have to deal with a customer, you know, except every other day. You know, that's the upside of being OTR. Well, they don't do that. They put you and farm you around. There was a couple of times where I was stuck for months doing regional work because they didn't have enough regional drivers. That's what they would say. But the fact is, they're saving money by making you do that, and they do it a lot. And I called them out on it twice. And this last time is why I quit. It's one of the reasons I quit. Be wary if you do get into that in this industry. You know, I'm trying to get out of it. You might be trying to get in it. It's not what it used to be. 10 years ago, I probably would have had a different answer for you. You know, even 5 years ago, I was still optimistic. But now, I don't want to go back. Like, I sit and contemplate it regularly, and I bounce it against what I'm doing now, and it ain't worth it. They take everything, and they leave you unhealthy and dead, you know. And I'm seeing insane things as a delivery driver now, you know, an independent, with my van, which is now in the shop because somebody backed into me. But I've seen tons of fucked up driving, people running red lights, people T-boning people going the wrong way down the street on the wrong side of the road. And I've seen all of that multiple times a day lately. People don't care anymore. They're not being safe out there, which makes it all the more likely that that statistic that says an average truck driver's lifespan is 62 years, that's probably going down based on what I'm seeing. So I'm thinking when they revise that statistic in the next couple of years, I think the average lifespan of a truck driver is more like 60. So to summarize, if you're a truck driver and you do it your whole career and you retire, you're not going to have a retirement. You're going to probably die or be so unhealthy that you'll be in the healthcare system instead of sitting on a beach or walking around in the woods. I don't want that to be me. And yeah, I could do things to take better care of myself. And I would argue that not being a truck driver is part of the path to taking care of myself. It's probably the best step, the first step. Every year I get out from behind the wheel is another year I'm probably going to live longer. Can't fight the statistics, you know. The trucking industry has the highest workplace fatality rate. I think it was something like 48%. You can look it up. But it's high. It's the highest. Workplace fatalities are truck drivers, transportation industry. If you work in the transportation industry, you're probably going to fucking die before your time, before you get to retirement. Now, can't really control that, but I'm just going by the statistics. I could still die. I do a lot of risky shit. But I don't want to die because I'm in a truck at work 70 hours. And I definitely don't want to die without having done some of my retirement. And that's why the whole principle of what I'm doing is taking these times off to myself and trying to make it work. And I did it wrong. I didn't save. I didn't prepare for this. I didn't invest. I didn't pay off my debts. In fact, I have a huge debt right now, and I'm still trying to do this. That should tell you something. You know, a lot of people would have said, hey, work another 2 years, pay off your vehicle, then do this. I can't wait that long. I don't want to wait that long. I'm going to try and do it the hard way. So the other issue might be, you might be saying to yourself, with what you're doing now, there are worse jobs, too. I don't think that should be the reason you go to a trucking. The other reason I'm making this video is I know a lot of people are losing their jobs right now. I know we might be facing a recession, although the jury's still out. But some would argue we've already been in a recession for the last 2 years. That's the other risk. You know, you go out there and freight dries up because we have a recession or a depression. You're going to be just as broke as everyone else. The difference is you're going to be sitting in the truck stop waiting for freight. And I can tell you that box gets really, really fucking old when you're not working. If you're out there doing your 34-hour reset at a truck stop and you're stuck at the truck stop because you can't move the truck and there's nothing around because you're in the middle of fucking nowhere, there's no Ubers, none of that. Maybe walk around some of the roads. Maybe walk to the Walmart that's down the road from your truck stop. But at the end of the day, you're not making money. There is layover pay in some companies, but that's generally $100 a day. Maybe $150 if you're in a good company. But, you know, sounds great in theory, getting paid for doing nothing all day, but you're still doing something. You're still in the box. You don't get to go do things that you would otherwise do if you weren't in the box. You know, so it's still it's an economy dependent job. So if the economy goes to shit, so does your pay. You know, the wheels got to be turning. There's got to be freight in the box for you to make that $57,000 a year, which I've never in my 21 years, no matter how long I worked, no matter how full-time I was, I have never seen more than $55,000. In fact, I feel like last year was the most money I've made in trucking, number-wise. Like I said, the spending power wasn't any different. You know, I was able to get better loans. That's it. It's the only difference. You know, I was able to buy that shitty van, which I should have had no business buying. But I say shitty van. I do like my van. I just don't like paying for it. You know, I don't think it was worth $33,000, $34,000 for a 2 to 3 year old vehicle. You know, but that's a whole other video. Well, update time. I'm going to walk while I update. So we're going to go back to breathing heavy. I'm in better spirits today. I managed to get my tax return. It was nowhere near what I thought it was going to be. So I only had $800 tax return. So of that $55,000, a lot of it went to taxes. So I managed to, wow, it's windy as fuck. I don't even know if this part's gonna come out. So just to recap, I quit my job the last week of December. It is now March something, March 19th. So 3 months of my time has been reclaimed now. But as you've known from the last couple videos, hasn't all been roses and shit. You know, hasn't all been sunshine and fucking rainbows. But I'm changing that around. The weather's breaking, as you can see. I can get out in nature now, and I'm gonna make sure to try and allot myself the time to do that and see if I can cover my bills. So there's that. The other thing you might have noticed, you probably watched like 3 or 4 ads. I'm not in charge of that. I let YouTube do it. Whatever amount of ads they feel like putting on my video, I'll let them do it. That being said, I am now incentivized to make more videos because it's another income stream. And it's one of those ones where I make a video, I do something fun like this. As long as I got a camera with me, I'm technically working. But this ain't fucking work. Come on now. Would you rather be in the truck stop at Love's right now on your time off, or would you be doing relaxing shit like this? And it is relaxing out here today. The wind, I don't know, it's windy, but it's nice. So I'm trying to hike at least twice a week to get back in shape. As I get more in shape, I'll do more aggressive hikes. With the summertime, I'm planning on doing some backpacking. Get out in the woods, do some wilderness fasting. It's coming soon. I need to get rid of this fat shit. So, you know, this is a side effect of a year of trucking right there. Wasn't there before the year of trucking. Well, it was a little. I'm on an island with a swamp in between here and the land, but they had like a boardwalk that comes out to it. I like this park. It's one of my favorite parks to go to. It's just enough nature and it's still fairly close. A lot of people though, decent amount of people, but it's not crazy. It's not free. It's $5 to come here. Free if you're a veteran, but I just pay my $5, especially if I'm working, and you know, technically I'm going to make the $5 back through ad revenue. But yeah, I'm monetized fully again on YouTube. Problem is, I'm not growing, I'm shrinking. I'm losing subscribers. People hate my shit, or the algorithm's fucked, or people aren't watching YouTube anymore, they're going over to Rumble or something. You know, I don't know, I can't explain it. I'm still doing similar content that I've always done. You know, some would argue, yeah, I did the political video a week ago and shared my views, and maybe that sent some people away, but you know, who cares? At the end of the day, I'm still gonna make videos. It's just whether or not I can do it all the time. You know, I also would like to be able to spend more time in Canada, even with everything going on. And in order to make money while I'm in Canada, the only thing I can really do is make videos. I can do some trading, but we all know how that went. An update on the trading. I am a little more successful. I am slowly growing my trading account, but I feel like any day, because the market's so uncertain, any day, any gains I made can be erased. Right now I'm up to 140. That's $40 up from the last time I made a video. But if a market crashes tomorrow, then all of that will be erased. So I am doing better on the trading. Slowly. It will slowly grow. It'd probably help if I fed it some capital, but I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to just grow it by compounding the profits over time. But right now I'm at a huge loss for the year, so at least I don't have to worry about capital gains taxes next year. With what I'm doing, taxes are going to be more of a concern at the end of the year. You know, I'm going to get a bill, so I got to make sure I'm keeping track of my expenses, make sure I'm keeping track of the things that I can deduct. But at the end of the day, still beats trucking. Just the freedom of it, you know. $15 an hour with a ton of freedom versus, you know, $18 an hour, just so you can have a big number at the end of the year, but you have no time, no freedom. You tell me, which is better? You know, is it better to only have to work 20 hours a week at your discretion, where you're in charge of your schedule, or is it better to work by the corporate schedule for the man, 70 hours a week, and you got to be there when they say get there? I don't know. Seems like a pretty easy question to answer for me, despite all that. You know, I'm still fighting. You know, this is definitely a fight. I did this on hard mode for sure. You know, I'm definitely I don't advise doing it the way I'm doing it, but if I'm successful, you know, if I end up in a comfortable space where I'm paying my bills and getting plenty of my time, being able to spend it with my girlfriend, be able to spend it with my friends, what few I have left, then so be it. You know, why would I get back in a truck if I get those things? What are those things worth from an annual income perspective? Oh, this looks new. I mean, it looks old, but I've never been on this, and I've been to this park I don't know how many fucking times. I didn't know they had this. Looks like they used to have the binoculars there for watching wildlife. Oh yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm gonna have to remember this spot. Gotta walk through the swamp to get to it. But it turns out, much like politics, you gotta walk through the swamp to get to anywhere good. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's literally over the water and shit. I have the other thing that has kept me afloat this month. My mother once again helped. She did contribute $300 to my fund. So big help too on that. But I sold my camera finally. My GH5 I sold, but I had to sell it for a lot less than I thought it was worth. So I sold it for $350. It's just the body, but still, you know. And I did that via Facebook Marketplace, so I'm generally not comfortable shipping items over a certain dollar amount. You know, anything over $500. Even though I got less for it, at least I knew I wasn't going to get scammed because I'm in person. You know, and it's as is. You hand it to them, they hand you the money, you're done. But during that, I stumbled into the rabbit hole on YouTube of eBay reselling. And I decided, you know what? I really could use another income stream. One to fall back on if push comes to shove, you know. And I kind of like going to thrift stores and looking around, and I feel like I should embrace economically the used market. I feel like, you know what, fuck these corporations. Even though eBay is a big corporation. There's a whole economy of used things. You know, in this world where everybody wants to give you a fucking subscription, they want you to pay every month, and then you don't even own what you're paying for. You have, you know, you don't pay them, they take it away. Yeah, maybe we need to go back a little bit to barter, to actual used goods. And there's a lot out there. And things I didn't even think you could make money with. Somebody's saying, now I don't know any of this. I'm still new to this idea, but I'm going to explore it. I'm going to start an eBay store. I'm going to go thrifting and find things that are in demand and try and make profit. You know, much like trading, only more physical. I have some storage space in my mother's basement, and I can stage my stuff there so I can have an inventory. But I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to be like one of these fuckers that has a shed full of 3,000 items waiting to be sold. You know, I'm kind of going to wait out the sales and keep my inventory manageable and small, and you know, approach it from a little bit different from what I'm seeing the other YouTubers doing. So that's the plan there. I'm adding another income stream to my formula that I can do, you know, and still allows me, you know, it's a little more demanding. If somebody buys your thing, they want you got 2 days to ship it. At least that's what I'm going to set it up as. So you do have a time constraint there, but, you know, as long as I can be back to ship whatever from wherever I went, you know, or I can take down all my listings if I need time off. You know, it's really that simple. So that's the plan. I'm gonna do that. I'm kind of optimistic about it. When I'm seeing the numbers, that doesn't mean that's the reality. The reality will be when I try it. You can just add that to my list of shit that I'm doing that you're gonna keep track of to see if I can make it a full year off from trucking, bare minimum. But I want more. I want it to be permanently retired from trucking, and I don't even know if it's possible, but we're already 3 months in. 3 months, and I haven't given up yet. I haven't called the recruiter, signed up. So 3 months, it's pretty good. You know, no matter what happens next month, at least I had these 3 months. Didn't really get to enjoy them as much now. Weather was shit. You know, things are better now that I can get out. And I'm going to make an effort to do that more, for sure.
Oh, yeah, he's right over there.
Yeah.
He's trying to be like, you can't see me.
I'm just a twig.
And there's an arsenic over there. That's right next to the sticking leaves.
Oh, yeah. My girlfriend would lose her mind right now if she was out here.
Yeah. That's a girl? Huh. Didn't know there's things like that.
So yeah, that's my plan. We all know how the plan's been working out, but you never know. Whew. I'm only at like a 1% grade and I feel like I'm climbing a mountain. It's not good. But what the fuck do I know? I'm not an expert. I'm just an asshole. If you like driving a truck, go drive a truck. Fuck do I care? You know, I just know I don't want to do it. You know, and you can weigh my advice, take it or leave it, but do your homework before you do it. It's a big life-changing step. It is a life-changing step, I will say that. And you just got to ask yourself, do I want that life? Is it better than what I'm doing now? Do I want to be healthy and retire at age 65? You already know my thoughts on that. There is no retiring at age 65. Basically, you work till age 65, then you live in a perpetual state of pain, prescription drugs, and hospitals until maybe you die. And if you're lucky, you get to watch TV during that. It's a great retirement. We should all bust our ass for 45 plus years to make that our final days, our golden years. Fuck that, I want my golden years in my 50s. You know, and if I turn 50 real soon, you know, and I want to be able to say I retired at age 50. At least retired from trucking at age 50. I'll never be truly retired. I'll always do something for income. So the other reason I'm looking at that whole reseller thing is I feel like that's something old people can fucking do, you know, even if they're not in the greatest shape. That'd be a decent retirement. You know? Yeah, I gotta go to the thrift store 3 times a week and look for deals. You know, rough. You know, and then while you're sleeping, your little app goes cha-ching and you're like, yes, I made money. I made a 60 to 70% profit. You know, but we'll see. When I do start the eBay stuff, I will be linking my store, and I'm gonna try and cross promote and advertise my listings, you know, as part of sponsoring my videos, essentially. You know, if I'm gonna get ad revenue and other advertisers are gonna advertise, I'm definitely gonna advertise my own shit, which you're allowed to do. But don't worry, I won't be as bad as some people and spend 10 minutes every video advertising. Yeah, maybe 2 minutes. Well, that's it. I was gonna go all the way around, but I feel like it's gonna rain and I'm not prepared for the weather, hiking in jeans and whatnot. So that's it for this video. I hope the wind didn't fuck everything up. But at the end of the day, make your decision, you know. It should be based on what you want, not what I want. You know, I don't know that anybody wants what I want. And I don't really want what everyone else wants. It's weird. Have a nice motherfucking day and shit. And tell me what you thought of this camera since you made it to the end. In the comments, did this get the job done for my vlog? I'm still debating selling that other camera. It's worth a lot right now. Because not a lot of new camcorders came. Well, Sony did just put out a new camcorder, but it's like $1,900. Actually, it's more than that. I think it was like $2,300. Whereas mine would sell used for $1,100, and it's not too much worse than the new one. Doesn't have all the fancy codecs that the new one has, so. But only us camera nerds know what the fuck that is. You've already told me you don't give a fuck if I film on an iPhone. Alright. Have a nice motherfucking day. And shit. And I didn't die. Once again.
Why is everything pain? Why does everything hurt? Drones in the sky, we're all asking why. No one is safe, everyone will die. But who's keeping score? Red versus blue, can't take anymore. Why is everything shit? Why does everything suck? Cities are burning, nobody gives a fuck. Economy's crashing, you're shit out of luck. Why is everything shit? Why does everything suck? The news is on repeat, chaos on every street. We're living in the shadow of what used to be. Tangled in nightmares, longing to be free. keep wailing, the world set aflame. Are we crazy? Are we to blame? Why is everything shit? Why does everything suck? Cities are burning, nobody gives a fuck. Economy's crashing, your shit out of luck. Why is everything shit? Why does everything suck? Can we turn this shit around? Can we stop this from burning down? Feel the stinging pain within. With AI oceans we can drown in. Why is everything shit? Why does everything suck? Cities are burning, nobody gives a fuck. Economy's crashing, your shit out of luck. Why is everything shit? Why does everything suck?